from what we see is most people are deficient. In the United States, about 95% of people are deficient in iodine. And a lot of people say, well, why is that? Why are we low in iodine?
Thanks for joining our podcast, The Stamp of Approval. You know, during the pandemic, we're providing many podcast episodes with a variety of topics with some of the very best professionals in their fields so that we can help you during these uncertain times. We will get through this. You know, we got to create a plan for ourselves to stay healthy and for your businesses. So we're going to talk you through that. I'm Kristin Stampini, and my husband Mark and I own multiple small businesses. In 2017, we opened up our virtual assistant business where we help many small business owners hire, train, and staff administrative assistants at a very affordable price. We also have a real estate business where we have, my actual career started and began during the financial and real estate crisis back in 2007. So during that time, I was personally bankrupt and broke. And today we have a multi-million-dollar business that is in real estate, and we have a real estate brokerage, real estate team. I'm a real estate coach, and we're real estate investors. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, I have Nurse Tom with us today. Tom Fisher, RN, BA, is a project leader for the Miskawaan Health Group, MHG. So MHG is an innovative functional medicine clinic which treats the root cause of illness using natural integrative therapies. I actually met Nurse Tom at Hippocrates, where I know many of you have followed my lifestyle from Hippocrates. Tom is also a highly experienced health coach with over 16,000 clinical hours of working one-on-one with people with various health challenges. Tom is Certified Health Educator and Stage 5 cancer survivor, now with over 20 years cancer-free. Wow, that's awesome, Tom. Tom has studied under some of the top integrative medicine practitioners in the world, and Tom has lectured throughout the United States on health and nutrition. He is a former Hippocrates Health Educator and Health Optimization Coaching Academy, HOCA instructor. He holds a BA in psychology. After Tom's experience with cancer, he chose to dedicate his life to educating the public about the benefits of health, food, lifestyle modification. Tom has a unique background in health, having worked with patients in allopathic medicine and having been through the medical system as a patient with cancer. Tom has consulted with thousands of people from all over the world with various health challenges for over 10 years at the Hippocrates Institute, and for many years before Hippocrates, Tom is passionate about empowering people with healthy lifestyle, enjoys his work, which is providing clients with health consultations. I have seen many of Tom's lectures, presentations. He is absolutely amazing. I'm so happy to have you here today. Welcome, Tom.
Hey, I really appreciate being here, Kristin. You know, I want to get into things today that can really help people and really support their immune system, and even natural things that can help to protect them during, you know, some of the uncertain times these days. I just want to tell really briefly a very quick little disclaimer. The information that I'm going to share is definitely no cure. It's not a treatment. These are not evaluated by the FDA. Any of these things, if you want to use them, you can always have your doctors look at that and see if it's right for you. So going past that, what I want to talk a little bit about are things that people can support themselves in a nutritional sense, but also, you know, based on my opinion and over 16,000 clinical hours of working one-on-one with people and studying with some of the top doctors in the world, integrative doctors, I'm going to talk about ways you can help yourself at home too. So I want to talk a little bit about juicing first of all. And when you're doing juicing, it has a lot of great benefits, because what you're doing is you're taking the fiber out of the equation and you're getting absorption really that's going to go right into the small intestine. You're going to absorb better at the cellular level. I like alga juicers like this one right here. This is a omega. And what that does is it grinds the juice so you don't oxidize it or destroy a lot of the nutrients like you might with the centrifugal, which is a very powerful juicer. Now, some of the things that we're going to be juicing are our friends like garlic. So garlic is a natural antifungal, antibacterial, and antiviral. It's also really good anti-cancer with some of the phytonutrients in it as well. It's a bit powerful, so you don't need a lot in a juice. And with that, as a base, I like using things like cucumbers. So cucumbers are great to alkalize you. It's great chlorophyll as well, and great to hydrate you. Most people that I work with, unfortunately are dehydrated. And, what we need is in fluids per day is about half your body weight in fluid ounces per day. And that's really a start. If you're more active or if you have other situations using saunas, you're going to need more. So why don't we get a little bit into the juice? I'm going to show people how they can do it. And essentially, I like to start with the cucumber first. This is that base to really give you a bit more of the fluid in the juice. Now, the other thing that I personally like using are sprouts. So sprouts like sunflower sprouts. Now, the reason I really like sprouts a lot is that they're highly absorbable and they are excellent sources of protein. These guys are a complete protein, having all 9 essential amino acids, and they're very high in phytonutrients. So phytonutrients are essentially nutrients that protect us from things such as cancer. And these are well documented things that can really support us. They can help lower our bad cholesterol, the LDL cholesterol. Now we also have pea sprouts as well. So pea sprouts are also great protein. Now, the nice thing is when you start alkalizing your body, it's going to protect you in many ways. And when you're alkalizing, what we're talking about is using things like vegetables, green vegetables, and it's going to help oxygenate your system. And the nice thing is, what they found, and this is through one of the PhDs in nutrition that I studied under, Dr. Robert Marshall, 1/10 of a point movement more alkaline in your body is a 10-fold increase in the oxygenation to your tissues. So what's that going to do for you? It's going to give you more energy. You're going to feel better. People are going to heal quicker from it, especially if we have surgeries or some type of other situation like that. And it's anti-cancer because cancer cells don't like that oxygen. They don't like chlorophyll either. Now, these are buckwheat sprouts. So buckwheat have properties that also will alkalize. Also good vitamins and minerals and nutrients too, because a lot of the foods today are really low in minerals, and that's unfortunately because of the soil erosion that's throughout the United States and other countries. In some cases, up to 80% deficient in nutrients or minerals. So, a plant, they don't need a whole lot to grow. Plants need NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. We need about 60 nutrients to keep us working well. So the other thing I like to add a bit there as a kick is the turmeric here. So turmeric is excellent to reduce inflammation in your body. It literally blocks all inflammation pathways. It also has good anti-cancer properties. And we get our turmeric right here locally in Florida from the Gratitude Garden Farm. They're amazing local organic farm. Now, I talked about our friend garlic. So like I said, you don't need a lot of that. 1 or 2 cloves goes a long way. And sometimes I like to add a little zest to it with a little bit of lime as well. And lime is also a good source of vitamin C. So a lot of you may have heard of vitamin C on the news, that it's helpful for your immune system. Well, it's also a really good antioxidant, which will help prevent free radical damage from aging you quicker. And there is research from some of the doctors that I've studied with that it is helpful in an antiviral sense, because what they're finding is that the virus can start to affect what they call the angiotensin receptors of our lungs. And vitamin C is one of those nutrients that will help to support that and reduce some of that effect on the body as well. So what we're doing, we're just getting some more sprouts in here. And
so is there, so I heard you talk about, there's obviously a lot of sprouts out there, and I heard you talk about the pea sprouts and the different sprouts. Are those the best ones to use in juicing, or does it really matter?
well, yeah, it's a good question. I like to use these sprouts because you're going to get a bit more juice from them. You know, some sprouts that are also really good, like broccoli sprouts, you won't get a whole lot of juice out of them, but I do highly recommend eating them too, because, you know, when you're eating the broccoli sprouts, you know, they even studied those out of Johns Hopkins University and found out that they're tremendously anti-cancer. And so what we'll do is we're going to kind of finish up this juice here, and we'll try a little bit of that.
Now, is it bitter at all, or what makes it like the turmeric? What are the things, you know, that, you know, you got the cucumber obviously brings a lot of water into it, a lot of juice into it, but the taste of it, are people going to be, if they've never juiced before, is it something that's going to be bitter for them, or is it?
Well, if they've never juiced before, turmeric is a little strong, so I'd say start with a small amount, kind of see how they like it, because it is a little, you know, it's a little bit strong, and, you know, some people it's an acquired taste. I've grown to like it a lot, and and you can always, you know, add a little extra lemon or lime into it if you want it a little bit lighter tasting. And then what we have is voila, a little bit of green juice there, beautiful.
Now, when you're having the juice, can you make some, like how much should you have, and then can you make some for the whole day, or no? Is that not good?
Well, I mean, if you're doing juicing, I normally recommend, you know, people to do, you know, at least a good 8 to 16 ounces. Daily would be great. If you can do more, even better. Because your body's just going to get that much more nutrients. And, you know, like I mentioned, because of the soil erosion, you know, a lot of people are nutrient deficient. And, you know, these days you can even test that through tests like SpectraCell Labs will look at the cellular level if you're deficient in nutrients or not. And then from there you can kind of, you know, find out. But, you know, I've seen tons of these tests done, and it's very rare that there's somebody that has no nutritional deficiencies. And over time, these things can really affect us in a health sense and create health challenges for us, and even affect our immunity and many other things too.
So there's so many things that are awesome about juicing, right? And then also you should be drinking it right away, or can it just sit in your refrigerator all day?
Well, ideally, the best thing is to juice and drink, because over time, you'll lose some of the enzyme activity of the nutrients. You may potentially lose a little bit of the water-soluble vitamins like vitamin C. But, you know, some people are very busy as well. So even if you juiced, had some, saved some for later, you're still going to be getting some good nutritional benefits. It's just not the most optimal. But, you know, in our day where people are really crammed for time, then, you know, I don't see a problem with that.
Okay, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And you juice twice a day for yourself?
What kind of juice, sorry?
You juice twice a day for yourself? Is that what you recommend if you can?
I normally try to do that. Yeah, I mean, if I'm really busy, I'll get it in once, or, you know, sometimes I'll do other nutritionals as well. And I did want to talk a little bit about some other things that people can do to support themselves. You know, for example, you know, iodine, this is a company from Health Gems. It's called Iodine. It's a very pure bioavailable iodine. And where iodine is important is it actually does have antiviral properties, antibacterial, antifungal. But what happens is from what we see is most people are deficient. In the United States, about 95% of people are deficient in iodine. And a lot of people say, well, why is that? Why are we low in iodine? Well, one, it's not a lot in the regular standard American diet. Number two, there's things that displace iodine out of our body. And that's things like chlorine from our water, from our swimming pools, bromine that can be in things like bread products. They used to have iodine in bread, and then they took that out. They got a little cheap, and then they put bromine in. Bromine could be also in swimming pools and things. And fluoride. Fluoride, unfortunately, in the water systems and also in toothpaste and things like that. So these are what we call halogens. Those three things displace the iodine out of our body, and then people aren't adding it into our body, and we become deficient. And what I've seen for many, many years, having worked at Hippocrates, seeing thousands of blood tests, are people with thyroid disorders, unfortunately. And, our body needs it beyond just our thyroid. Our muscles need it, the ovaries, the testes, a lot of other things. So when we get deficient, we start to run into those problems. So when we can use some iodine, in Asian countries that they consume roughly around 12 milligrams of iodine daily from their diet, very little in the way of thyroid disorders there. Now, you can also, through your foods, add in iodine. I like to do things simple and add it through these little shakers. So these shakers here, you can get pretty easy at a lot of the health food stores, Whole Foods. There's different varieties depending on your taste. Kelp here is one of the best for iodine. Dulse is another one. And sometimes they'll add in a little garlic in these for flavor. Sometimes they'll add in cayenne. Cayenne's really good for your circulation, your blood flow. Sometimes they'll even add in a little bit of sea salt. Where sea salt becomes more important is trace minerals. Because, like I mentioned earlier, most people are deficient in trace minerals. And when we can start adding those in, we're going to protect our bodies. Even Dr. Linus Pauling, he's arguably one of the top doctors ever in integrative medicine, very well known for vitamin C therapy and supporting people. But what he found were mineral deficiencies are the root cause of all chronic disease. Wow. So these are things we can really simply help just by adding in some of the good minerals here. And also, we can get that through our foods as well. But go ahead, you had a question?
So the seasoning, you just put that on salads. What do you put all that on?
Yeah, you can put these seasonings on salads. You can put them in different stews. You can put them in soups. There's a lot of different applications depending on, your taste and what people are making. Because the nice thing is, if you're doing a little bit of cooked food, minerals aren't normally going to get destructed by the heat like some of the water-soluble vitamins will. So they're going to maintain themselves, and then you'll still get some of those good minerals in your foods.
So iodine, tell us again what iodine does. Most people are deficient of it?
Yeah, most people are deficient in iodine. And iodine, essentially, it does have the properties that are antiviral, antibacterial, and antifungal. Now, where the iodine is so important for your thyroid is an iodine chemistry. So when you get your blood test done by your doctor, they do a TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, a T3 free hormone, and a T4 free hormone. So when they say 3 and 4, they're talking about 3 iodine molecules and 4 iodine molecules. So when we don't have that, or our body's not getting it, we start to run into these deficiencies, and we start to run into problems. And what can happen is it can start to affect our energy, can start to affect our skin, and our nails become dry, brittle. It can, and even the hair could fall out or start falling out. We can gain extra weight. It's really a whole factor. It affects our body temperature. And where our body temperature is so critical is our immune system. because as our body temperature goes down, our immune system goes down. That's why when we have a fever, our temperature goes up in our body because our immune system's getting revved up to get rid of something. That's where things like infrared saunas are so great, because that heat helps to support your immune system. And by the way, they found out viruses, like the current situation, don't live over 130 degrees Fahrenheit. So you can use saunas to help to clean yourself up a bit and support your immune system and detoxify extra toxins that we get exposed to, like heavy metals, mercury, things like that. So there's a lot of ways you can support yourself. Now, I did mention helping your immunity as well. And I want to just bring in a couple things that I think are really important for people. Now, there's different companies that have supplements. I only recommend whole food-based supplements, high quality, and they don't have a lot of excipients. So excipients are the extra fillers in supplements, like, for example, magnesium stearate, which some people have found can be not ideal for our immune system. So this company that I like is called Premier Research Labs. This is a vitamin D. So vitamin D is well researched to support our immune system. And by the way, most people are deficient in it, even here in sunny Florida. Because again, I've seen thousands of blood reports from people here in Florida. And what do I see? Low vitamin D. And why is that? Well, you know, a lot of us aren't getting out in the sun as much as we need. A lot of us are wearing lots of clothes, so our body's not getting that exposure. We're wearing sunscreens, and we're just not getting that sun exposure that our bodies normally would get. So vitamin D, very supportive, but I recommend vitamin D with K2, vitamin K2. The reason being, what a lot of integrative doctors are finding is it allows the calcium to get into the bones better, as to potentially get deposited in the arteries and things. So, you know, of course, we don't want that for our blood flow. So vitamin D, extremely important. You can always test yourself too. Most of the integrative medical doctors like the vitamin D level in the blood between 70 and 100. And then you know you're in a pretty good area there. Most people are below that. Now, I had mentioned earlier, of course, vitamin C. Vitamin C, very important for immune, for antioxidant. You know, it helps with anti-aging, all that good things like that. Now, one of the things that's been out there in the news, of course, and talked about is zinc. Now, zinc, a lot of people get low in, and I've seen this in inspector cell blood tests because, you know, being a mineral, it's not always in a lot of the foods that we eat. So you will get some in certain nuts and seeds and things like that in a vegan sense. What I do recommend with zinc, if you're using it in an antiviral sense, is quercetin. This is a supplement here called Allercaps. It has quercetin in it, which basically makes the zinc work better to prevent RNA replication. So a virus is RNA. If we do get the virus, we don't want more of it. So it can help to prevent that, and it works better together. Getting back to the immune system, probiotics, extremely important. That is a microbiome, it's called, from Premier. Now, probiotics, you know, I can't really just stress as much about the importance of your gut health. And the reason being is at least 70% of your immune system's made in the gut. You know, what a lot of people don't understand is that your lymphatics are also running through the gut region as well. And if your gut health is not good, and let me tell you, a lot of people that I've worked with, it's not good. It's going to really affect not only your immune system, it's going to affect how you absorb your nutrients. It's going to affect your hormones. It's going to affect how you detoxify. And it's going to affect your neurotransmitters that affect your body and your nervous system. Extremely important. So that's why when you're eating healthy, you're using things like probiotics. I also like digestive enzymes to help with your absorption. And then depending on your age, you may or may not need hydrochloric acid to support the digestion. And so those are some of the things I like for that. And then lastly, just another natural antiviral is the olive leaf here, or the oil of olive. These are things that have those good anti-cancer antiviral properties, some anti-cancer properties too, and immune supportive properties as well.
Wow. That is awesome. That is such incredible information. No, people really, you know what, before, I gained a lot of weight in a short period of time, and most of my life I was not heavy. And the things that I've learned just in the way of eating and nutrients and things like that is just amazing, and taking care. And as I get older, just like your vitamin E, or vitamin D, I'm sorry, when I showed up at Hippocrates, mine was at 17. Like you said, it was 70 to 100. So over time, I built it up some, and I live in Florida. So, and I am out in the sun some, but it's hard, right, to build up your different levels of different nutrients.
It takes time, and, arguably people absorb roughly about 30 to 40% from the gut, from eating and from supplements. But some people are much less than that, depending on what's going on there. And that's where getting the gut back in order, you're going to really start getting more nutrients. The other thing I just want to bring up as well is, unfortunately, a lot of people are under more and more stress these days. They're under stress because of the current situation, possibly not because they're not able to work. Maybe there's other things going, maybe just because they can't go out and about and have fun. These can all be very stressful. They're maybe indoors with a lot of family members and children that, take a lot of their energy and things. So I've even worked with clients that have had these types of situations and these concerns. So there are ways you can naturally reduce your stress or anxiety. When we're talking about anxiety specific, now, in a natural sense, we can use things such as niacin. Niacin is vitamin B3. Now, a lot of people freak out about niacin because they're like, oh, I'm going to flush out, I'm going to get red. Well, there are non-flush niacins out there. I mentioned that brand, Premier Research. They have one that's non-flush. When you put this under your tongue, it starts to reduce that anxiety as well. It's a nice one. Now, if it's a higher level of anxiety, then, we can also use things like inositol. Inositol is another nutrient, helps to modulate that anxiety response. And I also like using hemp oil or CBD oil. So CBD is basically derived from cannabis, or the marijuana is what a lot of people know it. And it is very nutritional, actually, because our body and foods naturally take in some of the cannabinoids from foods and things. So these will help support us, but they support our nervous system, they help our immune system, and they help us to de-stress as well. And so you can use this. Normally, if somebody is using it in a sense to reduce stress or anxiety, I would say somewhere around 3,000 milligrams would be appropriate, or sometimes more, higher milligram level, just to really start reducing that stress response too. These are going to be things that you can do to really support yourself in a nutritional sense to reduce some of that stress and anxiety. There are other techniques too, but if you want to get into that, or if there's any questions you have.
Well, tell us what, like, if somebody's out there and they want more of you, tell us what you do currently. So I do a lot of stuff now, actually. I work one-on-one with people. I've been doing that for a long time. I do health consults. So essentially I create a plan of action for people. So I look at specific nutrients for them, a dietary plan. I look at lifestyle that can be affecting them. For example, stress techniques they can use for that, how to reduce electromagnetic stress on the body, like from Wi-Fi, cell phones, things like that, how to cleanse the body,
And then I look at adjunct therapies and testing they can do to really support themselves. And so that's one of the things I'm doing. I'm also working with that clinic you had mentioned in Miskawaan. So Miskawaan has several clinics, actually. They have a clinic in Germany, Austria, Hong Kong, and 2 in Taiwan. And I'm helping to develop more of their lifestyle program. But where it's kind of nice, they can do things we can't do in the United States, which is kind of nice. There's certain really good therapies that they can do, and they can do very advanced diagnostic testing as well. So they're medical, and they're also lifestyle and nutritional as well. And so they get into a lot of things, and so, you know, they have me helping to support that and, you know, even make it better and more supportive for people. And, you know, I'm going to have a website up very soon. It's called nursetombeatcancer.com. And I'm going to be giving people with cancer information through a blog that can support them in a nutritional and lifestyle sense. And I'm going to look at it in a very scientific way, or at least through my experience as well. And I'll also be offering, you know, health consults for those people to support them in their health journey or health challenge.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, I want to thank all of our listeners today. Nurse Tom, you've been absolutely amazing. You are so full of knowledge and wealth, and, you know, anybody out there, you know, you reach out to him as well. And I hope everybody's staying safe. And thank you, our listeners. Take care.